Today's date is March 3rd, 2012, and my name is Karina Gaona. I'm interviewing Sergeant Adam Gaona for the Peak Preparatory Dallas Community Oral History Project at Sergeant Adam Gaona's house. Can you state your full name?
My name is Adam Edward Gaona, Sergeant, First Class in the U.S. Army.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm the oldest of 5 kids. I have 3 sisters and 1 younger brother. I never really knew my father other than him serving in the Army as well. My mother was sometimes hard to get. She always wanted things done for her. She worked from job to job trying to support um, us. And my family was not like no other family, but I survived.
Where were you born?
I was born in a little town in California known as Oxnard.
And how long have you lived there?
I don't quite remember. I was little when my family moved to McAllen, Texas, and in a town called The Valley. And I lived there the rest of my childhood.
What high school did you attend?
I attended Far San Juana High School, located in Far, Texas.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes, I did graduate with my diploma.
And did you go to college afterwards?
Uh, no, I did not go to college. At the time, I didn't feel like it was right for me. I guess I can say I wasn't prepared in any way, and my family did not have the money. We were very poor, and that is why I stayed at home helping with whatever I could.
What were, I mean, were you ever planning to go to college?
Yeah, I was planning to go to college. I just didn't know when or what college would fit my full abilities.
Did you have any jobs?
Um, I had several jobs. In fact, back in the days where I lived, the town was not known at all. There were a lot of poor families, and there were hardly any places to work at. The mall from my house was like an hour away, and working there, my my paycheck would basically be going towards gas, and what I had left, I would help my mom in buying things for me. So the jobs I had, I wouldn't call them jobs. I would call it trying to earn money. Um, I would help my grandpa from time to time, and now, uh, and mow people's grass. Just basically anything I could do to earn money.
At what age were you when you enrolled into the National Guard?
I was 17, going on 18.
And why did you choose the National Guard?
I chose the National Guard because there was nothing for me to see no more. I was becoming bored of relying on people for money, and I needed something more. I wanted more action, and I felt the National Guard was right for me at the time.
And by signing up for the National Guard, did you know what you were getting yourself into?
Yes, I didn't know what I was doing. I was expecting long trainings, hard trainings. I knew I was going to have to learn to be away from my family and support my mother and my brother and sisters, and hopefully making this my career.
And did anything happen before the Iraq War?
Yeah, the Afghanistan war.
And can you briefly tell me about that?
It was pretty much a war uh, that was to stop the terrorism that was occurring in Afghanistan. It was known as Operation Enduring Freedom, and it started in 2001, and just kind of turned into the Iraq War. Uh, well, never mind. I wouldn't say it turned into the Iraq War because while some soldiers were in Afghanistan trying to end the terrorism, uh, the discovery of Saddam Hussein occurred. The United States found out of his mass destruction weapons and declared on declared attacks on Iraq to capture and kill him, and Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden. Um, I don't want to get into detail, but that was a brief overview to my best ability.
Since we will be talking about the Afghanistan and Iraq War, George Bush was the president at the time. What do you think about him?
You could say, I could say, I could say I liked him and that he made good decisions for the soldiers, but then again, every president has their goods and bad. I liked him because he served in the army and he knew what all of us were going through. All I can say is when Obama got elected, I didn't like him.
And why is that?
Well, because he uh, he didn't do what he said he was going to do, and therefore it made me not like him.
Okay. And what did you think of George Bush's policies?
I agreed with him, and he just wanted to take what the terrorists took from us, and I believe in that.
And 9/11 was an attack that triggered all of the wars. Do you remember of 9/11?
Yes, I do. It was a tragic event for many of our Americans to have see or hear.
And can you explain to me everything that happened that day?
Um, yes, I remember saying good morning to my wife. I remember her taking our children to school, or taking my daughter, and then taking my son to daycare. And after that, I remember leaving to work and hearing things on the radio about the Twin Towers, which is the World Trade Center. At first, it was hard to believe, but once I got to work, I turned on a little TV and that we have in our office, and I turned it to Fox 4 News. Uh, on the news, I saw people running, a big cloud of dust, people jumping, and then I saw that what I think was the second plane hitting the second tower. After that, that was when I knew it was a terrorist attack. And I just sat in my office hearing my coworkers saying, "Can you believe what just happened?" And I was shocked. Not only did the Twin Towers get hit, but also the Pentagon, and a plane crashed in a field in Pennsylvania. As I watched the news more and more, it showed everything that happened that day, and I showed it, and it showed the planes actually hitting people, not knowing what to do, and most of all, it shows the collapse. Me and some of my coworkers just waited to hear what President George Bush was going to say, and overall, it was just tragic, and for it to be put out there was hard to see.
Do you think this is what led us into the Afghanistan war?
Uh, yes, because the country has many terrorist and plane attacks, and because of the tragic event that happened on 9/11, that led to the Afghanistan war.
And what did you think President Bush was going to say about the attack?
Um, Pretty much what every other president says, that the United States will declare war, but every soldier does not want to hear that because it involves a lot.
And can you tell me what it involves?
It involves training, leaving families, risking our lives, um, being gone most of the time. Overall, it's just a hard process for many of the Army families.
And upon hearing George Bush's decision, was your prediction true?
Yes, it was, and it was hard to hear because I was barely beginning my family.
And how do you know when it's your turn to go and serve your country?
We don't. It's not like school where the teacher tells you what was going to happen or tell you what will be happening. It was different. We have to wait for a call or an email or just for your captain to call you. And whenever you get one of these calls, that means it's your time. Sometimes it's bad timing, but that is what comes along with joining the Army.
And how do you react to these calls?
Uh, it's pretty hard to react to. I react to these calls by just agreeing to my captain on what he's saying and preparing for my leave. Um, I can't really express myself over the phone, but once I hang up, that's when it hits me.
And can you describe to me how it hits you?
Um, I have to tell my wife, and I could say that it's the hardest because she begins to break down, and seeing that it's hard because no family wants to hear their loved ones has to go, and my kids before, when they were younger, had no clue, but now they do, and it's hard.
And what was your training like for the Iraq war? Or the Afghanistan war, I mean.
The training was intense, but you have to get qualified to be deployed to go to another country. You train with other soldiers to see if you're able to execute your teamwork and hope for nothing to happen and to win the battle you're fighting for.
You said you had to be qualified to be deployed. How do you get qualified?
Through training and the task the army says you have to qualify for, and before you go to deploy and before you are said you can be deployed, you have to have a check in each box that says you are able to be deployed.
Okay. While in training, do you see any of your other soldiers struggle?
Yeah, you do see that a lot. There are individual tasks and then there are combined tasks. And in the combined task, you have to be able to work with the other soldiers in order for you to be successful at your mission.
What were the steps of getting ready to leave?
Like I said, training is probably the most important one. After that, mentally preparing yourself as well as physically. and I would say going and buying food because the food there is not always good. And whenever you're in your cabin, you'll have something to eat, whether you're hungry, whether you get hungry, and just getting all your clothes together as well as your necessities. You can say it's like if you're going on a trip, what would you take? And that's pretty much what you take on ours.
When it comes to the day of your deployment, what goes through your mind?
My family most of all. It is hard for me to leave them. A lot of tears come out for many reasons, and at the time I just thought about my kids and the chapters I was going to miss throughout my absence.
And when you got to Afghanistan, what was it like?
It was scary. It was scary because you don't know what to expect and what was around the corner. Nobody, especially people who just attacked you, do not want to see you, but we had no choice. Um, when I was there, I saw a lot of poverty, nothing like Texas. I saw a lot of people looking suspicious, but I was scared myself to do something. I was fully protected, but you always have to be prepared for something unexpected because you never know.
And